Hello, my name is George Schwain and this is my submission for assignment 4B. In this video, I will take you through my journey of ECS 210 in terms of breaking down my knowledge and then rebuilding it. So that being said, let's get right into it. To start out, I'd like to talk about what my ideas of curriculum were before I took this ECS 210 class. So before I took this class, I thought the curriculum was a set of listed items that must be met by students and taught by teachers, and those items being outcomes and indicators. All guidelines were set by the government, and no one had any say what was on the curriculum. Teachers must follow all of these like they're a set of rules. In quotations I have, this is the only way that this can be taught. Obviously, after taking in new knowledge from this class, my views have changed. In the blog post for my week 3, I show how I demonstrate this new knowledge by stating, I now know that in order to create and implement any sort of criteria, it has to go through many different groups and individuals. I've also gained new knowledge in forms of thinking more critically. So my view of curriculum now is far different than it was before. So the points I have down here is that this is a guideline for teachers, not a list. So it's not so much we have to do step 1, step 2. Now it's here are the steps, you have the creativity, you go ahead and teach however you think is best for your students. So this goes through many different groups in order to create, obviously, like I stated before. This also includes other concepts other than regular curriculum, such as hidden curriculum, which is taught unconsciously or learned unconsciously. And also, teachers are beginning to have more power in the classroom, like I stated earlier. So we can do things in a different way if we feel our students will benefit from that. So now moving on to my new approach to teaching the curriculum. I plan to critique this document in order to make sure no group of people will be left out, keeping in mind that no curriculum is perfect. There are many different approaches to take to make sure everyone can learn to the best of their ability. I will do this by teaching through a multitude of different ways. So the 4 I have listed here are transmission, product, process, and praxis. So transmission is the process in which info, knowledge, ideas, and skills are taught to others through demonstration or guidance. While product is more about the outcome, so it's like a test. Did your student get the right answers kind of a thing. Process relates more back to the how we do things, and experimentation, thinking more critically and applying it to real life situations. While practice is also an extension of process, we apply our learning into ways that make sense to the student. Implementing all of these will make sure no one is left behind playing catch up, so all regions of learning are to be used. I'm also a firm believer that in order for kids to be engaged in their work, they must enjoy what they are doing. In order to deconstruct normative narratives, I would implement new aspects of teaching to help my students. Implementing things like pop culture, sports, different worldviews, social media, etc. will help the kids engage with their learning. From my personal experience, taking this course of action is the best way for young minds to retain information in their school career. After completing this class, I feel as though I've grown in many different areas which will help me as a future educator. The first one being curriculum planning. After completing assignment 2, I feel I'm more comfortable with reading a curriculum document. I feel as though I'm able to critique them properly and effectively so I can help my future students to my full extent. The second being lesson planning. I learned much about lesson planning from assignment 3 as well. I wasn't unfamiliar with writing lesson plans as I do them for my job as a swimming instructor. However, I've never done one in this much detail as me and my group members did for this assignment. And lastly, I learned a lot about treaty education. I feel as though I've grown the most revolving around the idea of treaty education. I learned that it isn't represented as much as it should be and how we have different ways of implementing it in the classroom. While I did see myself grow as a teacher, there were some obstacles I saw and had to overcome. I first had to realize this type of planning is far different from what I'm used to. I needed to come up with new innovative ways in order to make an engaging lesson plan that students wouldn't find boring or non-relevant. It was nice to work in a group so we could bounce ideas off one another in order to come up with the best possible solution. I also ran into issues with treaty education. It was hard for us to come up with lesson plan ideas that fit the small amount of outcomes and indicators that revolve around this topic. We found that this concept was slowly being pushed out of the curriculum, as Donald mentioned in his video lecture that we watched for class. We also didn't want to come up with ideas that related to treaty history, culture, things like that, but rather in the here and now. So working with my fantastic group was the key to getting over this obstacle. It enabled us to come up with the best possible solution to develop a solid and reliable lesson plan. We solved this by finding an activity that relates to Sask treaty education rather than treaty education of somewhere far away like BC. Having our activity be more local allows our students to be more interested and have them be more engaged because they feel they're affected by it. To close off my presentation, I would like to say no teacher is perfect. We are always trying to evolve to make sure the learning environment is safe so everyone can learn to the best of their abilities. I know none of us are perfect, but making mistakes and having issues is what helps us grow. I would like to take this opportunity to further my education in order to be the best possible teacher I can be. Thanks for listening. I enjoyed every part of this class. I learned many skills in which I will use in my future teaching career.